Title: My Unfaithful Wife's Bold Claim. Divorce me, and I'll ruin you financially. Chapter 1. The demand. The kitchen lamp flickered, casting an eerie shadow across her face, making her smug grin appear even more chilling. Listen carefully, she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. If you dare file for divorce, I'll strip you of every cent. You'll be stuck paying for the divorce, alimony to me, and child support. You'll lose all rights to the kids, and I'll keep enjoying my time with my lover. I stared at her, my grip tightening on the coffee cup in my hand. She believed she held all the power, control over the law, the children, and our finances. Do you honestly think I'll stand by and fund your affair? I asked, my tone calm, but seething beneath the surface. Her laugh was sharp, almost victorious. You don't have a choice. I stayed silent, not out of agreement, but because a realization hit me. Her arrogance stemmed from her belief that she'd secured every angle. She hadn't considered the move I was about to make. Chapter 2. How she crafted her crown. When we first met, her arrogance was nowhere to be seen. She was captivating, the kind of woman who could make any room orbit around her charm. I fell deeply, enchanted by her laughter, our late-night conversations, and the way she leaned on me during tough times. We built a life together, 2 children, a home filled with the aroma of fresh coffee, and a shared dream of traveling Europe with the kids someday. I worked grueling hours to make that vision real. She stayed home initially, then took a part-time job, claiming it was for a bit of freedom. But that freedom morphed into secrecy. She started dressing up more for work meetings than for our date nights. She'd step outside to take hushed phone calls. The kids stopped asking where she was when she vanished for hours. I convinced myself it was just stress or a need for space. Anything but the painful truth of her betrayal. The turning point came when she heard about a friend's husband losing custody in a divorce. She grew smug, as if she'd unlocked a secret weapon. From then on, she didn't bother hiding her contempt. She'd make snide remarks about real men, providing without question, roll her eyes when I asked about her plans, and casually warn me how a divorce would destroy me. By the time she delivered her kitchen ultimatum, she wasn't just threatening, she was reveling in her perceived victory. That was her final misstep. Chapter 3. Flipping the game. I didn't raise my voice or argue. I leaned back in my chair, mirroring the cool detachment I used in high-stakes business deals. Fine, I said, as if conceding a chess game. If that's how you want it. Her lips twisted into a triumphant smirk, and she returned to her phone, assuming the matter was settled. But it was far from over. It was the start. That night, while she showered, I wandered through the house we'd built, the one I'd paid for, the one she assumed she'd claim. I began cataloging every detail she'd overlooked in her overconfidence. I recalled the joint account she used for her personal expenses, the credit cards in her name that I cleared monthly, and her boasts to friends about a hidden investment account her lover helped her create, funded with our shared money. Then I remembered my uncle, a seasoned family lawyer, who'd once told me, if things ever go bad, come to me first. By midnight, my strategy was forming. I'd collect evidence, track every transaction, and prove her infidelity and financial misconduct. When I filed for divorce, she'd be the one facing consequences, not me. Chapter 4. The first fracture. 3 days later, she slipped up. I kept my routine unchanged, courteous, distant, busy. If she noticed me spending more time in my office, she didn't care enough to question it. Her lover kept her distracted, and her arrogance blinded her. That evening, over dinner, I mentioned casually, I'll be out of town next weekend. Work trip. She smirked, barely glancing up from her plate. Great. I'll have the girls over. Girls. I knew exactly who she meant. There was no work trip. I'd already hired a private investigator, a friend from my military days who now specialized in exposing unfaithful spouses. We set up hidden cameras, GPS trackers, and subtle surveillance. It didn't take long. By the next evening, I had high-definition footage of her, her lover, and her so-called friends treating our home like their personal playground. Champagne, lavish takeout, and designer lingerie, all paid for with my money. Better yet, in a tipsy rant, she bragged to a friend about her secret account and her plans to buy her lover something extravagant. The microphone captured every word. When I reviewed the evidence with my uncle, he grinned like a poker player with a royal flush. This isn't just infidelity, he said. It's financial fraud. This divorce is going to be a legal bloodbath for her. Chapter 5. The tide turns. It began subtly. On Tuesday morning, her credit card was declined at her favorite boutique. She stormed home, slamming an empty shopping bag on the counter. "The bank's messed up," she fumed. "They froze my card." I feigned concern. "That's odd. I'll check on it." I knew exactly why it happened. My uncle's legal team had started quietly securing our assets. Her cards, tied to our joint accounts, were now flagged for suspicious activity. By Thursday, she was in a frenzy. "I can't access my savings," she shouted, pacing the kitchen. "The bank says it's under review." I shrugged. "Maybe you should watch your spending habits." Her eyes narrowed. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," I replied, sipping my coffee. But in my head, I saw her empire crumbling. The real blow landed 2 days later when a process server delivered an envelope at her spa. Inside were divorce papers, surveillance footage, transcripts of her boasts, and a financial audit detailing her shady transactions. I wasn't there, but the spa receptionist said she went pale, dropped her glass, and left without a word. Her smug tone vanished, replaced by dread. Chapter 6. The plea. Late that night, she called, her voice quivering despite her attempt at control. "We don't need to do this. We can talk. I'll end things with him. We can figure this out." I let the silence hang. "Figure it out?" I echoed. "After you threatened to destroy me? After you said I had no choice?" She sniffled. "I didn't mean it. I was just upset." "No," I said coldly. "You meant every word. And you were right about one thing. I have a choice. I've made it." The next morning, her lawyer reached out to mine, trying every tactic: partial custody, shared accounts, even dropping alimony demands to suppress the evidence. But it was too late. By week's end, the court issued temporary orders in my favor. I got full custody, she was blocked from our joint assets, and the evidence obliterated her alimony claims. When she saw the full case against her, bank records, photos, her own recorded threats, her confidence collapsed. The woman who once gloated that I was powerless couldn't even look at me in court. I said nothing as I left the courthouse. Her lover was waiting outside, but when reporters swarmed her, he turned and walked away without a glance. Chapter 7. The final strike. The final hearing felt less like a trial and more like a quiet reckoning. The judge's voice was steady but ruthless as he delivered the verdict. Full custody to me, no alimony, no claim to the house, and only supervised visitation until she proved stability. Her threats had backfired with devastating precision. She sat motionless, her lawyer murmuring urgently, but she seemed detached, staring blankly ahead. Outside, reporters bombarded her with questions about the infidelity, the threats, the financial deceit. She tried to push through, but the cameras captured her retreat. By nightfall, the clips were viral. Her lover didn't stay. Within days, he'd cut contact, moved out, and was seen with someone new. Her employer, wary of the scandal, let her go soon after. A month later, as I tucked my daughter into bed, she whispered, "Daddy, are we okay now?" I smiled, kissed her forehead, and said, "We're better than okay." I hadn't just won the case. I'd reclaimed our peace, our future, and our freedom from a woman who thought she could trap me with fear. She was left with nothing but the consequences of her actions. Epilogue. Her last gambit. 3 years passed quietly. I built a stable life for my daughter and me. School runs, weekend adventures, laughter over slightly burnt dinners. The turmoil she caused had faded into a distant memory. Then one morning, an envelope arrived, her shaky handwriting on the front. Inside was a letter claiming she'd changed, sober, reformed, wronged by the system, deserving a second chance. She wove in nostalgia about our early days and our daughter's childhood, but one line stood out like venom. "If you don't help me, I'll tell her my side of the story. And trust me, she'll resent you for keeping me away." It was a desperate final threat from someone with no allies, no money, and no credibility. I didn't respond. Instead, I sent the letter to my lawyer, who filed it as evidence of harassment. The judge extended her supervised visitation ban for another 3 years. A month later, I saw her on a local news report, arrested for attempting to defraud an elderly couple. That was the last time her name crossed my mind. She destroyed herself, and all I had to do was step aside and let her fall. Was this justice served perfectly? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe this outcome was deserved, like the story and share it with someone who needs this vibe. Subscribe to Lauren's Tales for more gripping stories of betrayal and retribution. Because here, every deception meets its reckoning, and every betrayal casts a long shadow. Stay sharp, stay bold, and stay tuned. Asterisk asterisk.